Bates Motel Season 5, Episode 4, Hidden. Really crazy episode. They always are, but this one I think was very interesting for what they did with Norman, especially when they got to the end of the episode. And as always, he finds somehow the crazy killer guy gets the girl. It's insane to me. But I love how they kind of utilize his character in this episode where he's losing it, but he's also fighting, in a sense, like of course he's still crazy, but he doesn't realize that he's crazy. He's fighting against his mother. He even kind of kills her in this one. And it was just crazy watching. I'm like, man, he's so crazy. He's arguing against his dead mother intruding on his life still. Like, it was nuts. I was like, I love that dynamic of it, though. Which, sadly, with the film, we kind of know where that all ends up playing out. But it was fun to watch in this episode. I was like, man, this is just... it's a new step for him. It's a new step of crazy where he... and they talk about it in the promo for the next episode where he seems to truly realize it again, that he becomes her. So I'm excited for that, but it's just so sad. All I think of is like, man, there's hope. And then I'm like, oh, but it's going towards the movie and there's just no hope for it. So... like, that just makes it really... that actually, oddly enough, knowing where he's going makes it a bit more entertaining, because I'm like, how does it get to the point where he has a moment like this, or what they seem to be teasing in the next episode, where he's arguing with his mother, and then in the next episode he knows that she's not actually alive, to the point where all that goes away again, and he still thinks she's alive and that she's talking with him. So, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I love this first step of him kind of, in a sense, fighting back against his mother being overbearing and stuff like that, and him talking with her and saying, like, you're not going to do anything to this girl. Like, I'm going to have dinner with her. You're not going to do a single thing, and that's all there is to it. And, of course, he makes her say, like, you're going to, you'll do what you want to do, and I'll do what I want to do. So, I just thought it was very fun to watch him fight against himself, believing that he's still fighting against his mother. And, of course, it starts off with Caleb's death still, so that really sucked. But Chick helps him out, and eventually his mother agrees with agrees with Chick, so Chick gets rid of the body, and he does like the whole Viking funeral thing, which I still don't understand why that was his weird, fantastical way to get rid of a body, but it's fancier than every other body dump we've seen in the series, so I guess it was kind of cool. But Norman doesn't feel like he wants Chick around anymore. So he's like, you can't come over, but he of course ends up going to him at the end of the episode because he needs help getting rid of a car, which was from the assassin. Or, he wasn't really an assassin. We found it was just like some random dude that skipped parole. So he wasn't really as fancy as I thought he was. When he was first there, he was just a random guy. Which makes sense because he got beat up by Norman. So it's like he couldn't have been that big of an assassin. But we find out that he's being looked for by the sheriff. And it was real fast, but I think she's kind of onto something being weird about Norman, because the second time she shows up, he instantly mentions, like, oh, we get people from this certain city all the time. And it's like, oh, well, how'd you know he was from here? And then, of course, he has to stumble and say, oh, you mentioned it last time. You said you had a piece of paper with my address and, the city name on it. I was like, oh, I guess I did. I don't know if she really fell for that. It's hard to say with this show if people fall for certain stuff, if they do remember, or if it's like, I know something's wrong with this kid. But we got a new sheriff, and she was instantly onto him. It seemed to me, at least, because it's like, oh, did I mention that? And it's simple enough to forget that you did mention where this person was from, but I don't know. It's always hard to say, like, who's onto Norman and who's not. So I don't know what role she's really going to be playing through the rest of the season, but I'm definitely looking forward to how close she gets to the truth, and whether or not that means she's going to die, because as we know, somebody's got to die. Like, there's going to be a character that just has to die in the season. So, we already got Caleb, but with it being the final season, and they just introduced the sheriff in this episode, I really don't think she's going to live. So, it's hard to say where things are really headed and who's going to learn what, but I was like, alright, maybe she'll be onto him, maybe she won't. It seems like she would be, because he was stumbling a bit, and, in TV, they always ignore that sort of thing. It's like, oh, someone stumbles over their words and stuff, and it's like, it seems really obvious to me as the viewer, but they always have that in TV, so you never really know how it'll play out, because typically people miss it. So I was like, sometimes they'll just go with kind of the generic route where they missed it, and then sometimes they'll switch it up and be like, okay, I'll act like I missed it, but he was being really weird, so I need to look into him. So we'll see what the new sheriff does. We'll see what happens with Norman's pseudo weird relationship with the woman who owns the paint shop. I still can't remember her name, but I still remember that all I can think of is the David Davidson thing. I don't remember that guy's actual name either. But it's just like, man, he ends up with her, you know, they're having dinner and stuff, and they're making the cake. I'm like, it's getting really, really intimate with them making this cake. And of course they start making out and everything, and he doesn't kill her at least, because I honestly, when he was seeing his mother and he's kind of losing it, I was like, okay, I hope he's seeing what could possibly happen, but it's really hard to say. Like, maybe this was, you know, one of those times where they switch it up on us and we see him looking at this dead body and then he snaps out of it and he's still there. That would have been very interesting. And this was still good because I don't want any of these innocent people to die. That just would have been really interesting to see him have done that, and then he wakes up in the moment. Because normally he doesn't wake up until it's like way, way later, and it's like, oh, I don't know what happened. You know, mom, you know, he probably been, mother, did you knock me out or something like that. But I was really happy to see that that was just all hallucinations, and he just freaks out and he leaves. And of course she believes it's, well, I'm a married woman, so, you know, it freaked him out when he kind of thought about it, he kind of came to, and that's why he took off. So it's like, all right, she still doesn't know that he's obviously absolutely insane. And I think, like I said, with the way they ended the episode, this was him starting to get a little closer to the truth, which just really sucks because we know it ultimately is going to fall apart again. So it was still really cool. We still don't see Emma or Dylan in this episode, so they still haven't made their way back to town. But I really love what they did with this one. Chick is still trying to do what he can to get like his little notes and stuff, and he's like, you know, I can help you out, but I need to know what you did and stuff like that. He's trying to get his little notes for his book, which I love that they kind of reference that he's making a suspense story and maybe it'll make a good movie or something. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I really loved how this episode played out. Romero's journey was pretty interesting too, and he ends up at an old friend's house. So he's going to be able to recuperate for a little bit, and you know, it's hard to say how close he really is because I really don't know. But I'm assuming he's in town at this point. But you know, the motel is fairly far out of the way of town, especially, you know, they mentioned the highway previous seasons. So the motel is a little out of the way outside of town, so it's still hard to tell exactly how close he is to actually getting to the motel. But he's got a little rest stop for now. He's gonna be able to, you know, heal up and then go out. But he's moving along. You know, he had some good ideas. You know, he's able to get out of there after he tells the killer, you know, go give me a first aid kit and stuff like that. And you know, he takes off, but he's able to call, you know, put in a fake 911 call and get some equipment and stuff like that and heal himself up, at least for, you know, a little bit till he gets to a friend. So we'll see where his journey leads him in this next episode, but I'm really excited to see what they do. Norman seems to go back and contact the psychiatrist from the previous season, so I'm very excited to see how that's going to work out. Like, how close is he going to get to the truth, and what's going to cause him to regress? Because honestly, I wonder if Chick is going to be like, oh, I kind of don't want him to get any help because it's good for my story. Because, I mean, honestly, like I said in the last episode, he was just like, I'm an observer here. Like, he just let Caleb be, you know, chained up in the basement. So I'm like, I really don't know how much he cares about Norman. Like, it's hard for me to say, is this all for his story? Does he feel like this is truly some way to kind of get some help? Because if he kind of messes with Norman, in a sense, he's, you know, he's getting stuff out of him, which he was hoping would be a place to live outside of his little shack, which sadly kind of fell apart because Norman was arguing with his mom. So it's really hard to say where his morality is, because he's very amoral for the most part with Chick, and just being like, you know, Chick is just, he's just neutral for the most part. But within some of that neutrality comes some pretty immoral stuff, like letting Caleb just be chained up in the basement, that sort of weird crap. So it's hard to say what he truly wants from Norman, and if he's helping him just so that he can get more notes on his story to make a bunch of money, or if he's gonna let Norman kind of help himself and go to the psychiatrist and, you know, just leave him alone and help, you know, just watch him get better. So I'm curious to see where they're headed with it, but really enjoyed this episode. And I'm excited to see what they do with Norman. I mean, he seems to want to help himself, but we know where it ends. So that's just the exciting part about it. I don't know if they are going to change. I haven't, bothered to look any of that stuff up. If they're going to change the ending to make it more definitive, where it can't lead into the film, or what they're going to do with that. But for now, I'm just going to assume that it's going into the movie because I really don't want to know. But I'm just assuming with it going into the film, it's just like, man, what happens that makes him fall apart? I don't know if you guys could hear the tapping, but that's the dog outside the door. But it just makes me wonder what's going to make him fall apart again. So really looking forward to that. But I love the way this episode ended, where it seemed like he was kind of clear-headed for a good second there. He goes to the house and it's just empty, and it's like, something's not right. So that's my hope, is that he gets at least a little bit better somewhere in this season. But we'll see what happens. But I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I definitely want to know where you guys think it's headed for Norman. Like, how close is he going to get to being better? And what do you guys think is going to make him kind of break down again? Because something's going to do it. And it might actually be, I don't know why I can't remember her name, but the woman that he's infatuated with, who he gives his mother's dresses to, which just makes it even crazier. But I feel like her husband and the woman that he's sleeping with, who's going to be played by Ariana, for anyone who might not know that, I feel like that's what's going to trigger him to really go crazy. I think that's going to do it where he's like, oh, this guy really sucks, and I'm reminded of that again because this is the woman that he's sleeping with. And it's just very interesting. It's like, man, I just feel like that's what's going to kind of lead to the breakdown, is it's going to be her husband and how Norman feels about her, and how her husband is really bad to her, and how he wants to kind of get revenge for her. I just feel like that's where it's headed, and that's what's going to be the ultimate breakdown, reaching into, like, the series finale. But we'd love to know your theories on it, and of course what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.